let's get it started. Basically, where I'll start the story is right after I request to work from home. I used to be an executive at a real estate education company. And in the end, I had requested to work from home, and they'd agreed and they'd cut my pay in half. And I was working for them from home now. And as an executive, my position really wasn't, very daunting. I think I had my whole position automated. And I think even in a work from home status, it was about 5 hours a week, maybe, that I was committing. And so it was very simple, very easy, and I'm still making half of my old salary, which was pretty good. So it was a pretty comfy deal. Um, I knew that this gave me a safety net. So I'm making $750 a week now, working from home. I'm working about 5 hours a week, and my previous dream was to be an executive, and now here I was being one, and it not really working out too well. And I realized that, what's next? What's bigger than an executive? And that was, maybe it's time for me to become an entrepreneur. So I decided that while I was going to work from home, while I was only working 35 hours a week instead of 40, like I was, or 5 hours a week instead of 40 in the office, I'm now saving 35 hours a week. I knew that this time had to be reinvested into what's next, and I really didn't know what was next. It was pretty scary to deal with all of this, and realize that I had my dream and I lost it. And now it's time to, venture off into change. And so I was like, you know what? One of the things I did at my old job at that real estate education company was I taught people how to cold call. I ended up throwing this wildly successful event. I taught people how to cold call all over the nation. And it was really cool. It was all in person, but it was still a system that I created. So I saw that this was working. So the first thing I did is I teamed up with a great friend of mine, especially back then. We were so close. It was actually, I met him through the program, and we ended up clicking hardcore, and we decided to become business partners. And I said, look, dude, I'm going to cold call every day. My first goal was to just generate leads for a real estate business was my first goal. And it wasn't to have what I have now. What I have now wasn't even on the radar back then. So this was all just very, very new. But so I partner up with this guy. I just now working from home 5 hours a week. I'm looking to put 35 hours a week into something new, and I'm committed to it. So I do. So I partner up with this great friend of mine, and we start cold calling every day, 300 to 600 cold calls every day. And I crushed it. And that was just on my side. It wasn't even what he did. It was amazing though, the support that he provided me. He showed up every day with me. So we had like the buddy system going on. I knew every day I was going to get to hang out with Chris. We were going to laugh. We were going to hang out. And I was going to get better at cold calling. So Chris was a stockbroker on Wall Street. So this guy is like the godfather of cold call. I basically had my own Mr. Miyagi, for lack of a better term, and it was perfect. And you know what? Chris talked to me exactly the way I needed and like to be talked to. He would make fun of me. I have tons of recordings that I will start to release over time. But let's get into that. So when I started cold calling, I knew I was brand new at it. I knew I sucked at it. And this was my first cold call ever. Even though I was teaching people how to do it, I just created the system. I never did it. I never made a cold call before. So now I'm cold calling, and it is ugly. I'm going to find one of my recordings and post it here soon. I have my second call ever, like in history ever. So it was really bad. And, Chris, he would make fun of me, say, Jesus, Nick, you're horrible. And he would really, say the right things, and it had me laughing, but it also had me getting better. So one of the things we did is we only did this on Zoom. And I was insane about recording our Zoom calls. And Chris was always like, stop recording the Zoom calls. But it was so important to me to really document this process. I remember Gary Vee said in one of his books that, like, if he knew better than to record everything as he was growing, that he would have so much additional content. So that's what gave me the idea to record everything. So we would work for 8 hours a day cold calling, and I would record the entire session. At the end of the day, I would then edit the video into one call at a time. And I would actually watch myself suck. Imagine doing something. In the first week you're doing it, you're following yourself around with the camera. And then you're watching yourself at the end of every day. Now, the good news was I didn't realize at the time that I was rocket propelling my experience. I was able to get way better at cold calling, way faster, because I was focused. I'm watching myself. Oh, it was so hard. It was so hard to watch yourself. Say dumb shit, say the wrong thing, the weird things that we do when we're on camera. It was fucking painful. But I watched every day. And for the first 2 months, I actually went in and I edited the videos every day after I cold call. And what I wasn't realizing, the passive effect, is this was really making me way better, way faster. And so that's what really taught me. That's how I got this cold calling foundation between Chris, my Mr. Miyagi, and my ability to record myself and watch it through every day, the follow through that I had. I knew that my career was done. I knew that it was time for me to take my life into my own hands. I was investing this time completely free with only hope in one hand. That was it. This opportunity wasn't paying me. My other job was paying me to work from home, but this new thing was a pure investment. I didn't do anything but give it a lot of time, and that purpose thing where we were cold calling for leads, I never ended up manifesting into closed deals, which that's where the story takes us. So I got my Mr. Miyagi, I've got my recordings, and I'm getting really good at cold calling. I'm like ripping out leads left and right. I'm cold calling lead, 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 lead. I mean, it is awesome. I'm bringing great energy to the calls, talking to everybody. I'm just becoming really good at talking on the phone. It was something I was really bad at. So now this is happening. I'm getting more leads than ever. And, they aren't necessarily closing at a rate that is like, working for us. We ended up, a couple deals fell apart, as we know that they always do, when I was on the cold calling side. And I didn't like the inconsistency of what was real estate investing. Someone could wake up and change their mind and my deal's fucking blown up. I really wasn't liking it. So what I ended up doing was I was like, what am I used to? What am I comfortable with? And I was like, I like getting paid weekly. I was a career employee for 18 years before I founded this company. So I'm used to getting paid weekly or bi-weekly. So I'm cold calling every day. It's 2 months go by. Well, a couple of my friends who are real estate investors catch wind that I'm cold calling. And they're actually doing this with me. And they call me up. And I remember it was the week of my birthday, 2018. And it was the best gift ever. My boy calls me up, Mario Fernandez. Shout out, Mario, the first guy ever. Mario Fernandez, dude, I'll never forget you, bro. Calls me up and he goes, Nick, man, I know you're cold calling, dude. I'm a police officer and I'm pretty backed up, man. Do you think I could pay you to cold call for me? Hell yeah, you can, man. Charge Mario $150 a week back there. Hey, I'll do $500 for $150. Did all the work myself. I end up working with Mario, worked for him for 3 weeks. He closes the deal. Boom. Crushed it. Mario's all in. Mario uses me some more. Another guy calls me up, another friend. Hey, man, I heard you're cold calling. You think I could pay you to cold call too? Sure. Yeah, I do. Boom. He pays me $150 a week. Cold call for him. Picked up two people. Another friend calls. Hey man, I'm looking for a coach. Think I could pay you to coach me twice a week? Yeah, man, you can. Boom, $200 a week. So now I've got my job paying me $750 a week and three clients bringing in $500 a week. I'm not the best at math right now, but I think that's 1250. So now I'm making $1,250 a week, which was the same take home I was making with my full pay. So this was like huge. This was huge. I could tell like something was happening in the ether. I was like, life is changing. I'm not working. I think at this point I'm working like 8 hours a week and I'm making $1,250 a week. And for me, that was mind blowing. In my last video, I mentioned that I ran restaurants for 12 years where I worked 70 hours a week. And I made, in that peak, $65,000 a year. The next job, I was an executive working over 40 hours a week. And then now I'm working 8 and I'm making as much as I did when I worked 40. I couldn't believe it. I could tell I was onto something. It felt really good. So now I'm still an army of one. I'm doing everything myself. I've got 3 customers. It's all just a hobby. We're at a hobby level right now. I say that when your friends come to you, when your friends are in your business, then that's a hobby. When they're strangers in line, it's a real business. So it's really about having that line of strangers. And this time I was in all hobby phase. It was my closest relationships were paying me. And it was going really well. So now I've got 3 customers. I'm making $1,250, and I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget it. It's a Sunday. And I'm highly competitive. And I look inside of a Facebook group I'm in. It has 60,000 real estate investors in it. And I see this foreign cold calling company make a post, not even use good English, and say, hey, I offer cold calling, etc. And I remember thinking to myself, like, Nick, dude, you're the fucking best at cold calling. I'm now 3 months in. I've got 3 clients paying me. They're closing deals. Everything's going good. And I'm like, Nick, like, you're the best at cold calling, which means that if someone hires this other company, that like, no matter what, that's going to be a disservice to them. Like, you need to get the word out, bro. You need to tell people. So I really did just that. That morning, through my competitive nature, through reading that post, I end up realizing that it was time for me to put out what I do out there. It's time for me to get it out there. So I make a post right from the heavens. I got a pen in my hand, but it was actually typed up on a computer. And I couldn't even tell you what I said. I wish I would have saved it. And I make this post. And it basically starts off with, hey guys, I've never done this before. And normally I don't do this, but I wanted to share with you guys something I'm creating. And I'm creating a team of all American cold callers where all we do is service Americans where we offer American cold callers to call leads in your business, and we'll do that for you. And then we're going to do it for $200 for 500 dials. I've got some success. I don't even know what I wrote other than the beginning, which is, I know I don't normally do this, but. And then I just started sharing them with my cold calling operation I was creating. And that was a Sunday morning. That day, that post went completely viral. It ended up getting 287 comments on it. So after I made that post, 287 people commented that they were interested in my service. They either gave me an email address or they said, reach out to them. So that day, I ended up just messaging everyone, all 280 people. I remember staying up till 2 a.m. writing emails. It took over my whole day. As soon as I saw this crazy response, I knew I had to buckle down, and I wrote up this like 12-point bullet of like all the things that we offer, what it looks like, trying to make it all sound simple. And then to everyone I sent it to, I sent them my cell phone number, the 12-point bullets, reach out to me if you need anything. for every person I sent that to. So then, I end up going to bed that night. It's 2 a.m. I'm sending all the emails, and I wake up the next day and the post was deleted. Because I post in a group. So when you post in a group, you're not in control of your Facebook anymore. Somebody else is. So the owner of the group deleted the post. And lucky for me, I had messaged everybody up until the second that he deleted it, which means that I took full advantage in the moment, that I wasted no opportunity. And I messaged everyone. So even though he deleted it and that confused me, it didn't matter to me because I'd already messaged absolutely everybody. So I got the word out to everyone. I ended up calling the guy in the morning. Hey, why'd you delete my post? Blah, blah, blah. I said, dude, that's against the things. He's like, lucky for you, I was out on the boat all day and I didn't even have service. I would have deleted that post as soon as I saw it on Sunday. So now let's look. So I make this random post that's against policy and it's up for 24 hours because he's busy. And in that 24 hours, 287 people comment. I email all of them. The next day, after I get done talking to him about why he deleted it, all the emails start to respond. People start calling me like crazy. 20 people signed up for cold calling that day. 20 people. I could not believe it. I had a fucking business. I had 20 strangers on the phone and closed and paid that Monday. And it blew my fucking mind. I literally, on that same Monday, called my boss at the other company and quit. I quit right away. As soon as all those 20 people showed up, I was like, boom, this is where my focus needs to go. I need to burn the boats. I'll be honest with you, I quit too early. And looking back, I probably could have done both for a little bit longer. But you know what? I'm a burn the boat motherfucker type. So I knew that if I'm all in on something new, that I have to release this past. Things could have been better there. It was kind of like a cloud over my head. I didn't want that energy in my space while I'm off creating something new. So I called my boss. I quit my $750 a week job for only working 5 hours a week. I quit that voluntarily. Quit it. Boom. Lucky for me, they wanted me to give a 1 month notice, and I did. So I worked there for another month, thank God, because I really needed the safety net. So working there for another month. And then during this time, I'm now like building lead money.